the director of America's Central Intelligence Agency, John Ratcliffe, says the US has paused intelligence sharing with Ukraine. Now, the decision cuts Kyiv off from vital information about Russian movements on the battlefield. It follows the suspension of all US military aid to Kyiv following Friday's fractious Oval Office meeting between Presidents Trump and Zelenskyy. US National Security Advisor Mike Waltz was asked about the pause at a press conference.
We have taken a step back and are pausing and reviewing all aspects of this relationship. Just in the last 24 hours, since the public statement from Zelenskyy and then these subsequent conversations, which I'm going to walk inside and continue, I think we're going to see movement in very short order.
Well, let's take a close look at this with our correspondent Stefan Simons in Washington and Nick Connolly in Kyiv. Welcome both. And let's start with you, Stefan, in Washington. So not just bombs and guns that the US is holding back from Ukraine.
Yeah, intelligence, and that is critical, one would imagine, for the Ukrainians, of course. It has been proven critical in the last few years, of course, since the US, CIA, NSA, and other intelligence agencies in the US apparatus have shared intelligence with Ukraine. Of course, the Ukrainians rely also on intelligence sharing from European partners and allies, but this is significant. It is basically the Trump administration extending the stick, the carrot and the stick. I want to stay in this picture for a second. This is the stick, and it's getting a little bit bigger and a little longer, just to whack the Ukrainians into what Donald Trump wants. He said yesterday in his address to Congress that he was pleased by the letter and the outreach of Volodymyr Zelenskyy, stating that Zelenskyy and Ukraine is ready for peace as soon as possible and under and with the strong leadership of Donald Trump. He likes that kind of tone. He likes those words. And I think it is good to remember that the U.S. administration can flip the switch as fast as it did now and turn everything back to normal, meaning reinstating military aid, meaning reinstating intelligence sharing. But for now, this is the administration showing the Ukrainians, listen, we're calling the shots here to a large degree, and you just have to follow suit.
OK, Nick Connolly in Kyiv. We've heard through the day that the US pausing military aid wouldn't have an immediate effect. Talk us through the likely effect of the loss of US intelligence support.
Well, obviously, as Stefan mentioned, there is a lot less of a lag time with intelligence, and this is crucial for a wide range of things, not just to know where the Russians are on the battlefield. There's also a lot of intelligence sharing that helps Ukraine to prepare for Russian missile attacks, not just on the front lines, but here in Kyiv and in other big cities. When the Russians send their planes out or start loading missiles onto them far away from the front lines, that gives crucial time to prepare to get Ukraine's air defense in the right place. So this is obviously going to be a real blow. And there's also questions about European intelligence that Ukraine is reliant on, how much of that is actually reliant on US help, US satellites or US corporations. So we don't really know the full kind of impact of this yet, how much Europe will actually be able to compensate.
And Nick, we heard Stefan there talking about a change in the Ukrainian president's tone there. Is Volodymyr Zelenskyy now moving towards the Trump way of thinking?
I think the tone might have changed. I don't think in terms of the actual detail and the actual conditions of any kind of ceasefire deal that much has changed. This is just Zelenskyy now under pressure from European friends and allies, trying to speak in the language of Trump, trying to make the compliments and be as obsequious as he possibly can without kind of really undermining his own credibility. But in terms of the minerals deal, in terms of what security guarantees Ukraine wants in return for agreeing to a ceasefire, we haven't really seen a substantive change yet.
OK, so Stefan, the White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz also said today that President Trump would consider restoring military aid to Ukraine if certain conditions are met. So what do they want to see?
They want Ukraine follow suit exactly as they want. The president wants to set the pace, the tempo, and determine the timeline on what is happening when and where. Speaking with the Russians, negotiating with the Russians and the Ukrainians, when on one table, how to involve the Europeans, etc., etc. He wants to be in charge. He also wants, of course, still the rare earth and minerals deals with Ukraine. That was a real bummer, and he wasn't happy that he had to let this go last week when this éclat happened in the White House, in the Oval Office there. So he's keen on signing this deal. He's keen on bringing the Ukrainians back, and this goes to say Mike Waltz, National Security Advisor, will make sure that everybody, and the White House administration and Donald Trump himself will make sure everybody understands, look, we are, I'm sorry to say that, we are the top dog here, and you need to work with us. And working with us means we're telling you what to do, what to say, how to act, as much as we can. And then we're going to get to a fast. That is critical for Donald Trump, a fast peace talks or fast peace negotiations. He wants it, he needs it, and he has promised it to his base and to the American people to solve this whole problem in no time.
Thanks for that, Stefan. Stefan Simons in Washington, Nick Connolly in Kyiv. Thank you both.